This is my 14th year at the high school. Yeah, I've been asked that a little bit here recently. Really, my biggest goal was I wanted to be the best principal for Eden Prairie High School. I didn't come in here with like a specific set of things I wanted to accomplish. I just wanted to know the place well enough to know that I could lead us to become the best school that we could be. So it really was just to be, you know, just as good a principal as I could be for the high school. I don't know if I could do that because they all kind of end up meshing together. What I will say is that I was aware that um, there's there's something about being the principal of a high school when you're, for me, there was something about my being principal of the high school when my kids were high school aged, because the conversations that we had at home and the things that they were going through in their life matched up pretty closely with what was going on in our hallways and the kids here and things like that. So I do remember pretty well that just feeling like that was a very interesting, in a good way, time for me to sort of be aware of, individual high school kids' experiences that I was really close to, matched up with the kids that I knew here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that stretch of time, which was about, from the first year that I was here until like 2011, was that time. You know, so I think they're in two forms. Uh, One favorite memories whenever there are like when there are big events where our school community is all together. So I'm a big fan of that. I really like the celebrations and pep fests. Um, big like football games or state tournament kind of things. Big concerts. Uh, Shows in the PAC, the musical or something like that. Whenever there's like a large gathering of people that are connected by the fact that they're connected to the school. Those are great memories for me. And interestingly enough, on the other side, some of my best memories are times when I had a really, really good connection with an individual person. So whether that was, yep, you, a teacher, think about you and I. I mean, it's been several years
Mm-hmm.
that we've talked about your career in
Yep.
filmmaking and that kind of stuff, but just that so it's weird, but those really big events and then those smaller events of just really good connection.
Yep.
I like those. So I don't know. I became that. It's interesting that the opportunity presented itself that way for me. That somehow the sequence of my career led to a place where somebody would reach out to me and say, "Do you want to come and be the principal of the high school that you graduated from?" I don't know that there was it was nothing more, frankly, than good fortune that it turned out that way. It's actually from a program that's called Project Wisdom. So when I first got into administration, I would make announcements over the PA and kind of like with quotes and things like that. And it was a lot. It was hard work to kind of come up with them all the time. And then I ran across this thing called Project Wisdom, which is literally a collection of those very things. I'm really mad that I didn't think about it because I'd love to be in like have created that. But the tagline, a lot of the stuff I do, I still write. But that tagline, "Make it a great day and not the choice is yours," is from that program called Project Wisdom. And I really, really like it because I just really believe in it. That we, on a daily basis, actually moment to moment, the strength of our lives, the impact of our lives is really based on what we do with that day. And every day we have a choice about how it's going to be. And I get that life is full of challenges and that sometimes things don't turn out the way that you want them to. But you can embrace that challenge or overcome that obstacle by deciding, I'm going to figure out how this is a great thing for me, or as opposed to the or not part. And sometimes, depending on if I'm in that mood or not, I'll have a big pause, before the or not. And the the reasoning behind that is that's the place where you can think about what are you going to do. Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? So I really like that quote. I think a lot about them. I mean, it's true that I think about them a lot, and I think a lot about them. Um, there are any number of people or situations where people will say things like, "Oh, kids these days," and lamenting young people. And I can honestly say that through my career, I've never worked with better kids than the kids I'm with right now. Um, I think the same thing could be said of adults, adults these days, because I don't think adults are doing a great job right now. But I think young people, um, they show such resilience. There's so much optimism and hope. They're willing to work hard. Sometimes they don't know how to work hard, but they're willing to work hard, especially if they're going after something they really care about. I know that I'd like to think that they care all the time about their classwork, but when they really care about something, they will work on. They're networked, through social media in ways that I don't think we've ever been before. Um, and I think they're aware of their world and issues in the world in a way that they haven't been before. So what I think about them is a lot, both in time and in um, depth of feeling. So as a student, the thing, now this is looking back on it. I don't know if I thought this way when I went through, but um, the class that I graduated with, so this was 1978, a long time ago, but that class, one of the things that was, I think, a characteristic of the group of people that I went to school with, was that there certainly were groups within our class. We were only 230, um, but the boundaries weren't tight. People moved a lot between, you know, jocks and theater people and music people and smart people. It's just there's a lot of movement. There, no one was excluded from a group. No one was like made to feel less than. I don't think that the kids that were popular were mean to other people. Um, there was still, even though we were 230 is still a pretty big number, there was still very much a small town feel to Eden Prairie when I was a student here. And what I feel about being the principal is that I really like to try to see if we can't hold on to that. There aren't very many places where, except in small towns, where the school has the same name as the community. There's only one school, high school, and the boundaries of the school are pretty much the same as the boundaries of the community. So that everything about that contributes to the idea that we can be a community school. We can be like a small town. And I don't use the word family, like let's treat one another like a family. I don't do that flippantly. I really hope that we can be that kind of school, even though we're way bigger than 230. And even though there's a lot more difference in this student body than there was in the student body that I was a part of when I went through here, I still think all those things can happen. I remember feeling, as for homecoming coordination in that whole week, I remember feeling actually really, really proud to be part of the homecoming court because our court was made up of a lot of different people. And I thought that was really, I remember thinking this as a high school senior, but thinking that it's really cool that the student body selected a court that was like ours. And so just being a part of that was really, felt really good to me. And then, when they said, when they did the thing, and the way they did it back then was your mother, the guys, their mothers stood behind them, and they, I can't remember exactly how they did it, but they found out that their son was the king, in my case, my mom, and so she, when she put the crown on, and I just remember being really surprised, and then right away the first thing I think about is, okay, don't trip or anything. Don't, because they had you kind of walk out and do something. I think the Queen was named after that. But I remember very vividly, like, don't do something to embarrass your mother, who just put this crown on your head. Then the first part of that question is like being in Miss Wallenberg's class. She was Wally back then too, and it was really interesting because we were 18-year-old seniors, and she was 23 or 24-year-old, just having come out of Gustavus. Was the new gymnastics coach and was doing some really cool things with that program. Being a lot more successful than they had been in the past. She was I just remember her being very hardworking. She expected a lot out of us. I remember leaving, being in her class, being really engaged in things I hadn't been engaged in before, Shakespeare, Milton, were people that I typically read. But then, really feeling like when I was done being in her class, I was well read, that I could write pretty well, and that served, that ended up being true as I went off to college, that, it was a good academic experience where I was challenged, but it was also a really good class to be in. She built community in the classroom really well, and I know she does that even today. It was great. So going back to the original, the thing that we were talking about before, about you and I having a relationship in that, to because I know what you love to do, to be able to be a part of what you love to do was really fun for me. So you honored me by including me in that, and having me be able to be a chance to be with it or be part of it, and it meant a lot to me because I know it means a lot to you.